Hello and welcome back. Today, I want to talk with you about two topics that are intertwined: affect and care, in the other order. Well, more so the care, with some sprinklings of the topic of affect. Why? Because we as a society are doing better with understanding that individuals such as myself, who have autism, quite often do care. There is, however, still a lingering stereotype of a lack of care, a lack of intimacy. We'll get to the intimate stuff and the lovey stuff later in topics. We know that autism is a spectrum. Some individuals, we're all human, individuals who have autism are no less human and no less prone to variability than any other part of the human species. We're still human. Surprise, surprise, I know. That does mean that some of us can be prone to large amounts of care. Some of us can be prone to no care at all. Thankfully, things like media are starting to show that a little bit more. Love on the Spectrum does... Well, it's working on that. How well it does depends on who you talk to and how they feel about how the show portrays it. And that's love, not necessarily care. And then you can care without romantic love, and you can love without... you can love, you need care for love, but it depends on the type of... And the type of love is variable. Is it neighborly love, or is it romantic love? But if it's any kind of love, it requires care. So, for it to be real love, and not just the word being thrown around. Now, individuals, such as myself again, who have autism, we can care greatly for other people, about things. I wouldn't be doing this channel if I didn't care about the topic, about other people. I care. Now, one of the reasons I think that this stereotype shows up is because if we're not masking, if we're not playing the part that sometimes we don't have the affect, the visual affect, A-F-F-E-C-T, that is expected, the emotional representation on our faces that is often expected of individuals in society. We don't show the happiness or the sorrow when someone else is struggling. We don't always know how to respond. Not all individuals who have autism clue into the correct know quickly or know at all how to respond to someone else who is struggling. Some of us do. Some of us don't. Guess what? It's not specific to just individuals with autism. I know plenty of people who are not even neurodivergent who don't know how to respond to someone who's having a hard time. Why? Because they don't care. Guess what? It's not just a neurodivergent thing. It's a human thing. Back on topic, though. So first off, it's not just a situation specific to individuals with autism where people don't necessarily know how to respond. However, the topic is, why is that stereotype there? I think it has something to do with our struggles with affect and the historical representation of that we are represented more as a machine like individuality because we can present that way. I know for me, if I'm not masking and I'm thinking on something, I can present very mechanically. And when I talk, I can talk and communicate ideas very mechanically, very professorially, and when you do so, as I'm doing right now, there's a little bit of an emotional buffer, as I'm sure you're feeling, because I'm not getting bubbly and emotionally and because I'm conveying things in a way that works for me in this moment. And it seems like there's that buffer of care. There's a lack of care that we expect when someone's being professorial. It's the teacher-student buffer. There's enough care that you're a human being, I respect you as a human being, That's where it ends. Or a boss employee. I care about you as a human being. That's where it ends. But that's not accurate. And nor do I think that that's how, I don't think that's sufficient. A little masking for you from a little smile. That I think that individuals with autism, such as myself, some of us care immensely to the point where we care a lot more than people realize we do about a lot more people and a lot more things than people realize we do, or people realize is perhaps possible. Some of us don't stop caring about people we haven't seen in 30 years. And we also, some of us who have great memories, near photographic memories, we don't forget who they are in the moments with them, and we don't stop caring about them even long after they've forgotten us. And that's a hard thing to explain to people who forget and move on and are like, well, I haven't talked to them in 20 years. So, well, some of us haven't talked to someone in 20 or 30 years, but we still care about them. We still worry, we still hope that they're doing well, they're taking care of themselves, that they're doing well. It doesn't mean we exhaust ourselves on the thought, because we still have to take care of ourselves for the people we love, which is not always easy. That's a different topic. I guess for another time, I'll have to think about that. However, we care. And it can be exhausting as an individual with autism to try and break down that barrier. So frequently, when people seem to assume the lack of care, either because of the stereotype or because they don't see my affect, or because they're expecting a lack of affect, or because the people they know who have autism lack affect or struggle with knowing the appropriate social response. The appropriate, not even social, just the response that would be caring. Even if they do care, they might not know the response. And that's another problem. How often do we know or care or want to help with something and we just don't know what to do? That's another common problem. I know people who are not autistic, who do not have autism, sorry. However, they don't know the helpful thing to do, both from a sociological perspective, as in what can I do to help this person, as one person helping another person from a social emotional level, as well as helping one person helping another person with their direct immediate needs as a separate layer. So what is their immediate needs? Like, are they hurt? Are they, what are their physical needs and what are their social emotional needs? And knowing how to respond to either of those in the moment can be difficult for people because sometimes, the fight, flight, freeze, and I forget what the fourth one is. I think there's now a fourth one in that list. Forgive me. They don't always know how to process the situation and figure out what the correct response is at all. And they stumble and they don't know what to do. And sometimes they just can't figure it out, even in hindsight. That's not limited to just individuals with autism. And we often forget that as a society. And we need to remember that. It's a human thing. Why are we so eager to stamp these things on one group or another when it's just a human problem? Sure, some groups might struggle with it more than others. But why? Why? That's all I've got for today. That's my little ramble rant for today on individuals such as myself with autism, care and affect, and how they are all intertwined, and my little ramble rant, and that we do care. And some individuals like myself care very immensely for a great number of people. And some individuals, we're human. Individuals with autism, we are still human. No more, no less than anyone else. And you who are watching this, I want you to know that I'm glad you're here. And if you got something out of this, please throw something down in the comments. If you have something to say on the topic, I'd love to hear it. I'd be glad to hear it. I'd be thrilled to hear it. And I'm sure someone else has a similar thought on the idea. So let's get the conversation going. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're alive. This world needs you and everything you're doing. Stick around, keep fighting for what you're fighting for, and don't give up. All right, I'll see you next time.